Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ambassador Tai, for coming today. I know you're probably worn out from the constant questioning, but anyway, I recently met, I have a very coastal district, and I recently met with some fishermen from the district who've been highlighting to me the devastating impact illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing is having on the American fishing industry. America's consumption of seafood has steadily increased, mostly because I like it a lot, but that's a different issue. Yet our fishermen continue to struggle, and it is one thing after another. They are dealing already with burdensome domestic regulation, and they just can't compete with other countries. It's unconscionable to me that this administration is literally regulating this industry to death. You know, now fishermen, excuse me, have to install $1.5 million camera on their boats to go out to make sure that they're not the bad guys and catch the wrong fish. These guys, if enacted, will literally be out of business. They can't do it. They can't fish anymore. They can't do it with the cost. I don't understand what sense that makes. We're destroying our domestic industry for the sake of appeasing environmentalists. We go along with the NOAA rule of a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit, and they can't even say if this is going to impact whales or not. And so yet we're allowing China and other countries to destroy not only our environment, but to use forced labor to provide 90+% of the seafood for this country. What have you done, and what have you been able to do to combat the IUU fishing, and what progress has been made to stop this from occurring?
Well, Dr. Murphy, I think you're absolutely right that not just the United States, but the world faces a crisis with respect to the sustainability of fishing, our fish stocks, and the livelihoods of our fishermen. This has been an ongoing subject at the WTO, and so what we have done in 2022, we worked very hard with the 163 other members of the WTO to advance the first part of an agreement at the WTO on fishery subsidies. The IUU fishing issues also extend to unfinished business at the WTO. Our approach is, and it's got to be a collective issue because our oceans and our waters connect all of us. The challenge is to level the playing field by setting international rules that establish what fair practice is and where practices need to be prohibited. This past February in Abu Dhabi, the WTO convened its 13th ministerial conference. My team and I were there for the entirety of the negotiations. We came very, very close to getting this agreement across the finish line. We weren't able to do it for a variety of reasons I'd be happy to brief you on in private, but our work continues urgently and with a lot of commitment. On forced labor as well, you and I are on the same page. In May of 2021, we proposed at the WTO as part of these negotiations a provision that will shine a light on the prevalence of the practice of forced labor, especially on distant water fishing vessels. It's not only not moral, it's an unfair practice, and it's a subsidy. It's an immoral subsidy. We will continue to push for this. We are growing the coalition behind this forced labor provision in the fisheries negotiations, and we remain committed to ensuring that level playing field that, frankly, we all need.
Well, I appreciate that. I would love a briefing on that. I really would like to know what's going behind the scenes, what's preventing that. But, you know, getting back to a further point, Juan Cheese, where Wicked Tuna comes out, if anybody's watched that show, and why those people would go out when the water is 8 and 10 and 12 feet is beyond me. Those guys, they're having to put a $1.5 million camera on them. You can't go any faster you can to get out to the fishing places out at the Big Rock or anything like that, where it takes 2 hours to get out there. Now, if their speed limit is cut by literally a third, it means no fishing. It could be a $200+ billion industry for the United States that's gone overnight. And so I just don't get why this administration is hell-bent on, look, I love the outdoors. I'm from the beach. I absolutely love the outdoors, but there's a balance between what's going on in environmentalists and what's going on with our trade industry and with our fishing industries, and we're being absolutely clobbered by overregulation from this administration. Yield back.